Hello, I'm Justin Thomas. I'm a senior here at Jay County High School. My presentation will be over how to drive a manual. So the first thing is you've got to find a car that you can learn in. And this could be, friends or family members. You borrow it for the afternoon or week or something. Should only take maybe a day or two to learn this task, the basics of it to where you can drive comfortably. Next thing, you'll go up to the car and you'll notice some differences. The few things being the number of pedals on the floor and a shifter in the center column. There's not one, not two, but three pedals on the floor. You've got your throttle pedal and your brake pedal that I'm sure you're familiar with from driving an automatic. And then you've got a third one on the far left that you use your left foot for. It's called the clutch. Really all that does is that disengages the motor from the transmission. It's like another neutral. It lets your car roll wherever without spinning the motor over. So now that we've got a car and we understand the basics of what it is, now we've got to start it. Starting a manual is slightly different than an automatic. You got to push the clutch all the way to the floor. You take your shifter and you make sure it wiggles back and forth. When it wiggles back and forth, then that's how you know you're in neutral. So that way it won't take off and start moving on you when you're not ready for it. After ensuring that it's in neutral, now is the point in time where you could crank it over and start it. And then after doing so, you make sure it's in neutral again, and then you can take your foot off the clutch and idle comfortably while sitting in the parking lot. Now that we've started the car, you gotta learn how to drive it. So first thing, push the clutch all the way to the floor. You take your gear shift and put it in first gear, which is normally towards you and forward. There's a little pattern on the top of the shifter to show you where that is, but 90% of the time it's left and forward. And once you do that, slowly lift up on the clutch until you feel the car start to move forward a little bit. And then you would give it a little bit of throttle with your right foot and continue letting out the clutch until you're completely off of it and only using throttle. Now at this point in time, you should be moving 5-6 miles an hour. And now's the point in time where you gotta stop the car, okay? So at this point in time, you would get off the throttle, clutch all the way to the floor, take your hand and put it in neutral, and then take your right foot and brake, as you normally would when slowing down an automatic. And as long as you're in neutral, you can let the clutch out just fine and it won't cause any issues. So now that we've learned how to stop and go, we've got to learn how to shift between the gears to reach highway speeds. So you would take off normally, clutch to the floor, first gear, let out until it starts to move, give it some throttle until you're off the clutch all the way. And then same sort of thing. When you get ready to go to your next gear, 3,500, 4,000 RPM for your average gas-powered car, clutch to the floor. You would go first to second, which is normally straight back, and then same thing. You would let the clutch out as you give it throttle with the gas pedal. And you follow suit 3 or 4 more times, depending on how many gears the car has, until you reach your top gear where you're comfortably cruising down the road. Okay? Now at this point in time, I remember I had some issues when I started driving, and I'd like to touch on those. As you're taking off in first gear, sometimes you can feel the car start to shake a bit and then just stop. What's happening there is you're letting the clutch out too fast with not enough throttle, and the motor spins really slow and stops spinning entirely because it cannot run at such low RPM. When this happens, all you got to do, push in the clutch, put it back in neutral, and start it again. And now at this point in time, I would advise you to do not touch the throttle with your right foot, and only lift your left foot off the clutch to get moving. This will require quite a bit more precision than what you would have to do if you were using both feet. Once you've mastered that, now would be the point in time when you would try the same thing, but starting in second gear. That makes it all the more difficult for clutch control, to lift your left foot and get the car moving smoothly. And if you can do this consistently, you will be able to drive under 90% of the circumstances on the road today. Thank you.